Greetings from Aaron Layman Properties. It's time to check in on the North Texas housing market again. Looks like something's got to give in terms of mortgage rates or home prices. While many agents and loan officers were cheering a 50 basis point rate cut from the Federal Reserve, the bond market smelled a rat. Mortgage rates responded by actually rising a half point since the Fed's announcement. This halted the recent improvement in sales activity. It will also have an effect on home prices now that forward expectations are receiving a dose of reality. The reality is that inflation isn't dead, not by a long shot. Many real estate industry practitioners are using the Fed announcement to encourage clients to jump into the market. That's a shame, but not entirely surprising in the sell-side industry. Every day is a great day to buy a home, originate a mortgage, or write a title policy. For those working on a commission, there's an incentive to ignore the evidence staring you in the face. The reality is that there's still too much liquidity in the system chasing real estate and pushing up embedded inflation. This is why the Powell Fed is trapped in a box. Wealthy investors and Wall Street crony capitalists don't care about inflation. They want access to cheap liquidity and lower rates. The sooner the better. Folks like Barry Sternlick and Starwood Capital would love to see lower rates to stem the bleeding in the commercial real estate sector. There are a lot of commercial real estate debt, which still needs to be refinanced. Many U.S. homeowners are sitting comfortably on 2 and 3% mortgages. They don't need to refi and probably have no plans to move. Under the surface of CPI, it's easy to see inflation still percolating in the U.S. economy. Housing inflation, services inflation, and automobile expenses continue to take a huge bite out of consumers' pockets. Something's got to give, but inflation refuses to die. Owner's equivalent rent is running hotter than the rent CPI component. That is likely a reflection of actual expenses incurred by homeowners in this environment. It's important to remember that CPI no longer factors interest rates into the housing expense equation. If it did, official CPI would be even higher. North Texas home prices are still expensive when looking at traditional metrics like income. It's true that incomes are higher than where they stood prior to the pandemic, but home prices have increased dramatically more. A look at median incomes for the state of Texas shows a 54% increase over the latest 10-year period. That pales in comparison to Denton County home prices. Median home prices in our area are up by 121% over the latest 10-year period. That's an incredible testament to the power of liquidity. As investors and other buyers search for yield, the frenzy for residential real estate created a spectacular rise in home values. This disconnect is obvious, so something's got to give. There's a reason Denton County home sales volume is standing at 10-year lows. Plenty of real estate and mortgage professionals will tell you it's because interest rates are too high. That's complete nonsense, but it's nonsense that sells to consumers. Who doesn't love lower rates, right? A longer-term view of rates tells a slightly different picture of where mortgage rates currently stand. Rates aren't that high at all looking at historical trend. In fact, they're probably right where they need to be. The problem is getting industry professionals who've been spoiled by the latest 20 years of market interventions and bailouts to understand that a healthy housing market needs normal market interest rates. The Federal Reserve deserves plenty of scrutiny for fomenting a home price and income disconnect. America's central banks have been using the housing market like a piñata for the last few decades. Continuous boom-bust cycles have left home buyers and sellers dazed and confused. The continuous bailouts and asset inflation have also made a lot of people rich. If you own the assets, inflation has been your friend. While the Fed is still sitting on a $2.28 trillion portfolio of mortgage-backed securities, they are also creating more housing inequality and wealth inequality. This is the moral hazard of their continuous tinkering in the markets. It's the Cantillon effect on a grand scale with real estate as a centerpiece. Something's got to give, but the Federal Reserve refuses to let the business cycle function. The labor market refuses to crack. Recent data on unemployment shows the labor market is hanging tough. Initial weekly unemployment claims are still within the lower trend. Job growth is still pretty solid by historical standards. The question is how much of the growth in recent years is sustainable. We will eventually find out, but for now the labor market is not flashing a recession sign. It looks like more demand destruction will be needed to tame the American consumer. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, remember that our central bank is making it up as they go along. The quote-unquote experts are running the U.S. financial system. They are just as confused as you are. There's no guarantee we'll see meaningfully lower rates absent a recession. That's the entire point of a business cycle. There needs to be some pain to wash out the malinvestment and over-leveraged speculators. The Federal Reserve is trying to bail those crony capitalists out before that even happens. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in.